Oh, there's one person.
Oh, I can see some faces.
Hey!
Hello!
Hello. I can see the top of your head, Ian.
Hi.
I can see Jess. Hi, Jackie.
Hello.
Hello. What's his name,
Hello.
Jess?
Hi, Cuddles.
Is it Cuddles?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
I got my pin ready.
Hey, what's that? Oh, it's a certificate.
Yeah.
You need a new one, don't you? Now you've lost all that weight.
Yeah.
Can I share
Well,
it? Can I share it with everyone while we're waiting?
Yeah.
Or do you want to share it?
Yeah.
He got his 5 Stone Award at Slimming World. He's got his target weight.
Well done, Ian.
Thank you. You right? How you doing?
I'm good. That's amazing achievement, especially in lockdown.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well done.
That's it. Okay, so yeah, thanks for coming to Let's Talk. Today's subject is we're going to be talking about promises. Not we're going to talk about promises and what they mean and why they're important first, and then we're going to move on to talking about a little bit about the McIntyre promises. So, what is a promise? Does anyone? What is a promise? How would you explain a promise? Go on, Ian. Go ahead.
Well, it means that carers and support workers as well.
Yeah. So that's kind of with the McIntyre promises. But what's the so if I said to you, Ian,
Yeah.
I promise you, if I promise you something, what does that mean?
Well, that means I will keep that promise.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So it's something you say you're going to do, and it means that you're going to do it, doesn't it? I guess.
Yeah.
That's one way of looking at it.
Yeah.
Are promises important?
Yeah. They're very important
Why are they important?
because it's important to all of us. A team together. It's called a
Okay.
team. Yeah, team.
That's a good way of putting it, isn't it? So promises are important so that people can work together. A good way of looking at it. Do you think promises are important, Kevin?
They are, yeah.
Yeah. Why do you think they're important?
Because it means a lot to everybody, doesn't it?
Yeah, it means a lot to everybody.
Yeah.
So, this is another question I'm going to ask. Has anyone ever made a promise?
Yeah, I did. And I had one to keep my weight down.
Okay. So, have you kept that promise?
Yes, I am.
And who did you make that promise to?
I keep my weight loss down. So my promise is to keep the promise, and I promise you as well at the same time.
Yeah. Your mum made you a promise as well, didn't she?
Yes, she did.
And what was that?
Yeah. Well, I promised Mum to way, and it goes so well. My Papa weekend.
She taken you to a spa weekend, didn't she? Have you ever made a promise, Jess?
I said I'd promise to meet my friend Tess. So
Okay,
she
did
hasn't.
Did you keep
She's
that?
got, yeah, she will
kept-
do when the painter's come. When the painter's gone.
Okay, is this someone you haven't met during lockdown?
No.
So you've promised to meet her?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you've made, that's a promise you've made?
Yeah.
And you plan to keep it? Yeah. How about you, Kevin? Have you ever made any promises?
I did, yeah, but it makes you feel a bit awful sometimes, yeah.
What is that if you don't keep the promise?
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Yeah. Can you think of any promises that you've made to anybody?
Yeah, make friends, yeah.
Yeah, you've made promises to friends?
You want to, yeah.
Yeah. Do you think that's important? So friendship, trust, did you think it's important? Promises, part of that?
I'm actually speaking on behalf of Vicky because I'm sending her through what we're talking about and
Okay.
she's texting it. Okay,
Okay,
so
thanks,
if you
Gwen.
see me on the phone, I'm trying to keep Vicky involved. So she said about promises, because they are quite literally promises in capital letters. Break a promise and no one will feel the same again.
Yeah, that's a very good point.
Mm.
I always love the way Vicky puts things very bluntly, and she takes it right down to the basic meaning. Yeah. So yeah, you lose people's trust, don't you? If somebody says they're going to do something and they don't do it, then the trust that you had in them can go away.
I think sometimes that you make a promise with all good intentions, you're going to do what you promise, but sometimes you might need a little bit of help on the way, but maybe you don't ask for it,
Okay, love.
and that promise then can be that might not be key.
So can anyone think of an example that's not too sad about a time they had a promise broken and how it made them feel? Is this...
Well, Vicky, actually, I asked if she could share one of her promises,
Okay.
and she said, I promised Helen I would come and see her when it was safer for me to see her. And Helen has actually died. So Vicky hasn't been able to keep that promise,
Okay.
which is very difficult.
Yeah. So that's a promise that she can't keep, really. Yeah, but... Oh, hello. Yeah, Jess?
I promised you not to buy more Legos.
Did you promise that to?
My dad.
Why has your Lego habit got out of control?
Yeah, I got a new one. It's the Harry Potter owl now.
Oh, have you? So, are you going to keep that promise? Yeah.
Don't know.
Oh well, your dad's not here, so you can be honest. Have you ever made a promise, Celia?
Well, your family can let you down.
Your family can let you down. Yes, that's a very good point. Some people say that you can choose your friends, you don't choose your family, don't they? So how did you feel, Celia, when the promise was broken?
She's sad about Mum.
So I think we all agree then, don't we? I don't think anyone says that it doesn't, when a promise is broken, it's not a good thing, is it?
Mm.
So has everyone got an idea then of what a promise is and what it means?
Mm.
And do we think they're important?
They are.
Yeah.
Yes.
Give me a thumbs up. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay then. So that moves us on a little bit then to talk about the McIntyre promises. Which
Yes.
this is Ian's moment. So Ian,
Yeah.
can I just ask before we go into them? Do people have you heard of the McIntyre promises?
Yeah.
Yeah, you've heard of them. That's a good start then.
Yeah.
Ian, we definitely know has because he's got all his paperwork there that he's going to show us.
Yeah.
Jess, have you heard of the McIntyre promises? Yeah. I'm not going to ask staff because if any of them say no, they're going to get sacked. So. And Gwen's here as well watching us all.
Well,
They're on the fridge.
I know. We got magnets.
Have you got them on your fridge?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, that's good. Oh, Gwen's.
Vicky says, have you heard of the McIntyre promises? Yes, I helped make a few of them.
Yes, I would think Vicky definitely has no heard of them. Could you? Right, I'm not going to ask Ian this one first because I know he's got them all in front of him. But could any of you name a McIntyre promise?
Oh, if I need any help.
Making promises, making them a lot better for people.
Making things better for people. So go on then, Ian. It's your time to shine. What are the McIntyre promises then?
Well, on here, there's 8 promises.
There was 8 promises, yep.
Yep. One thing about helping each other. We've got support workers, helping learners. That's one thing.
Yeah, that's what they're about. Yep, support workers.
Yeah. Help you to do some work. Help you to cut the grass as well.
Help you to help you cut the grass.
Yeah.
I also
Oh, you've got the
here.
pictures. Yeah. That's to support me to learn
Yeah.
new things that are important to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Down
Yep. So where do you keep your copy of the promises, Ian?
I keep it in the folder.
Yeah. And do you check them a lot?
I do, yes.
Yeah. This is the $1 million question. Do you think that people keep those promises?
Mhm.
I still hope so.
You surely hope so. We suggest that me and Ian went to a meeting recently with it's called the Meeting Group at the moment, and we were talking about promises, and Ian thought it'd be a good idea to write a song about the promises, didn't you? Does
Yeah, I
anyone
did,
else think
yeah.
that's a good idea?
Yes.
Yeah. Might help people remember them more. Puddles thinks it's a good idea as well. So Celia keeps them on her fridge. Do you think that they're okay, or do they need
Yeah.
changing, Celia?
They're there.
They're there, but do you think they need
Yeah.
changing, or do you think that they're good?
That's good.
Yeah, you're happy with them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Jess, you said you don't really know, you couldn't really name any of them. Do you think there might be?
We talk to in my voice meetings. We talk about the promises there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think that they're okay the way they are, or they need changing?
They're all good. They're all good.
You're happy with them?
Yeah.
Like from our shout-out meetings last year, I think people are happy with them. Some of them maybe could
Yeah.
just be shortened down a little bit, maybe.
Can I ask a question?
Of course you can, Jackie.
How do we make sure, how are staff supporting them to understand the promises? So for Jess and for Kevin and for Victoria and I think it's Celia, and I'm missing somebody, Ian. How do the staff understand the promises well enough, and are we good enough at sharing them with you?
So is that a question to the people we support?
Yeah, please.
Yeah. Yeah. So what do you think, guys? Do you think that staff are good at sharing the promises and
Yeah.
keeping them?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's a good sign Celia's
Yeah.
got them on her fridge. I think that's good, and Ian's got them to hand.
Yeah.
I know Vicky said before that staff quite often can forget the promises.
Yeah.
So the promise that says to always listen to me, when Vicky and I've talked about that, she says sometimes staff are just too busy and they forget the promise.
Yeah.
So I think in answer to Jackie's question, it's kind of like we need to keep remembering this all the time, because it's there with 8 promises, very difficult to keep them in your head all the time.
Yeah.
I suppose with that then is, what could we as staff do better to make sure that the promises are remembered by everyone?
We have just updated the Promises film, and Ian's in that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I am. Yeah,
So
I am.
all new staff will see that in induction.
Maybe we could have, just thinking, now a promise of the month, so we focus on that promise and really try and remember it, and a promise throughout the year, kind of each month, and
Yeah.
really work on that.
That's not a bad idea. What do people think of that? A promise of the month?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good one.
Heidi?
Oh, Heidi's got an idea.
I was just thinking, I don't know how many of you guys know, but some of you also will. We sort of share, me as marketing, we sort of share stories quite regularly about people we support, and whether or not when we're sort of sharing those stories, we underline what promise has been kept in that story. So, if staff have, helped somebody and particularly looked at listening, maybe, we sort of underline that, say, well, this is a promise, that staff has kept, and keep sort of repeating them really in communications.
Yeah, that's a good idea as well. Yeah, because me and Ian, when we said at the meeting group, so didn't we? We did a lot of when we talked about them. We had meetings. We did a lot of workshops, didn't we? So we shown the promises in action, how they would work through workshops and film, didn't we?
Oh, good idea.
So instead of just having words, like a visual representation, like a piece of film or something that shows it in action. A bit like Heidi's talking about, so actual examples, not just words.
What about services having just an idea of promises champions?
That sounds like a good idea as well.
Yeah.
Because if you ask staff to name the promises, how many could name them?
Yeah, that's a good point.
The promises should be in everybody's plan, whether that's a support plan or a person-centred plan, whatever the plan is, the promises should come through that and should be checked on a regular basis that they're meeting them for everybody we support. But we haven't really got that embedded yet, so that's not really happening yet. So there's quite a long way to go to make it as good as it should be.
I suppose this is part of the process, isn't it?
Here's Katie.
Oh, we've got Katie's turned up.
Hey.
Hello, guys.
Hi,
Hello,
Katie.
Katie.
Hi, Gwen.
Hi,
Sorry, I'm a
Katie.
bit late.
That's all right.
I've just come back from the learning centre.
That's all right. Better late than never, Katie. So, Katie, we've been talking a little bit. Sorry to bombard you as soon as you come into the meeting, but we've
It's
been
all right.
Yeah.
we've been talking about promises and why they're
Yeah.
important.
With the checkers, we've been looking at McIntyre promises,
Yeah.
and we have one of the promises to to eat lots of fruit and vegetables, to get more active,
That's the one around keeping healthy.
and to do more activities.
So you've been working with the checkers actually quite intensively to look at the promises and see if that they're working. Do you think they're working?
Yeah,
or-
they're
yeah?
good. Yeah.
Okay.
One thing I was going to say, just while we're thinking about making them, updating them, maybe, I don't know, if there's a reason why, that the cartoon images could be real photographs of people that we work with, staff, people support and family, doing an interaction or doing so, where you've got, like Ian said, cutting the grass. That picture could be more in line with the actual promise. But that's just making them a bit more modern and a bit more connecting to them, recognising people that we might know across McIntyre might make them a little bit more of a, I don't know, importance, because they are important.
You could have someone doing wear nets in a garden centre, working like me in a picture, working in a garden centre.
Yeah. Or it could be a film that goes alongside it, where a bit like the stuff we did with the shout out group that shows.
Oh, yeah, we did, yeah.
When?
Building on what Nikki's just said, what we actually had hoped to see was that there would be 8 pictures for each person we support. So the representation is for yourself. So if Kevin was thinking about listen to me, he would have a listen to me photograph. And if Ian was to be kind and friendly and fun, he might have a picture of himself and you, Paul, doing funny activities. So everybody would have their own 8 pictures to represent it. Because that's when it could have the biggest meaning, really, couldn't it?
Yeah. So that's a piece, and that's a piece of work that staff could do alongside the people we support. So everyone's got a personalised 8 promises to refer.
That's the idea.
Yeah, I think
that's what should have happened. So.
Okay, was that something that was planned? Okay.
Well, yes, there is promises paperwork that people should have in their files that says what this promise means to me, because somebody might think kind and friendly and fun's jokey and really noisy, and somebody might think kind and friendly and fun is calmer and a little bit more quiet. So everybody should have the promise the way they want it in their file. And there is promises paperwork, and you can add your pictures into that. So
Maybe we need a refresher on
It
that.
would be nice to have more video context and more video examples, like a video blog, different people having a promise honoured.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's a good idea. Comes.
That'd be lovely, Jackie. That's the future. That's the hope.
And yeah, that's where we need to be.
I suppose it's
It
all,
is.
it's just all making them real, isn't it? It's so taking them from that piece of paper and bringing them into the real world.